Today I'm going to show you how to make a very simple rainbow loom bracelet using the following materials. First, you'll need a hook, which looks like this. Next, you'll need a rainbow loom, which comes out of the package looking like this. And lastly, you'll need rubber bands. And the more colors you have, the more creative you can get. We're going to start today with a very simple rainbow loom bracelet. So please follow along. When you take your rainbow loom out of the package, it will look like this. It will not be perfectly lined up. Please note that your arrow needs to be facing away from you, and that on each of the 3 clear inserts, the opening should also be facing away from you. With your rainbow loom like this, you can go ahead and choose your first color. I'm going to start with blue, and I'm going to start on the peg that has the arrow. And on the peg with the arrow, I'm simply going to loop the rubber band around the first peg and stretch it to the second peg, going diagonally to the right. And I'm going to let it go so that it looks like that. I'm going to use a second color, and I'm going to take that rubber band and I am going to loop it over the second peg that I looped my first rubber band around. And this time I'm going to pull it diagonally to the left, and I'm going to hook it over that hook. So now you have a design that looks like that. I'm going to use a third color, and I'm going to take this rubber band and I'm going to hook it over the last peg that I used, and I'm going to pull it diagonally to the right and let it go. And in this fashion, I am going to continue to loop my rubber bands using this pattern. Next, I used green, and then I used white. And you can see that I'm going diagonally to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left, to the right, to the left. And I'm using the same pattern of colors that I started with: blue, green, white, blue, green, white. I'm going to continue to do this in this way. Blue, green, white, blue, and I am going to push them down on the peg a little bit so that they don't pop off. You don't want it to be too high up on the peg. And I'll show you the other side. If it is too high up on the peg, you want to just push it down a little bit so that it doesn't pop off. And when you start making more complicated rainbow loom bracelets, that is very important, that you keep your rubber bands low on the peg, because oftentimes you'll have more than one rubber band on each peg, and so you want to make room for them. So get in the habit of doing that with your simpler designs, so that when you get to your more complicated designs, you're used to doing it. Again, I'm just continuing with that pattern, making sure that it's looped over each peg: blue, green, white, blue, green, white, all the way until the very end. And again, diagonally back and forth, pushing down my rubber bands as I go along. Very simple. As you become more proficient, this type of bracelet will be very quick for you. Blue, green, white, and I'm going to end with the same color I started with, which is the blue. Now, once you have finished that, your rainbow loom should look like this, with a back and forth pattern. This is very important. You started at the end with the red arrow. To loop, you are going to go to the opposite end. So turn your loom around so that you are now looking at the side without the arrow. The opening should now be facing toward you, so you can insert your hook down into these openings, and that's where you're going to grab your rubber bands. So starting not with the first hook, but with the second one, the one in the middle, you are going to insert your hook and you are going to grab the white rubber band or whatever rubber band you have chosen to go onto these two hooks. And I like to take my thumb and secure the rubber band onto the hook just by holding that there, so I don't have to worry about it popping off the hook. And you are going to take it off of this hook and you are going to wrap it around the hook that the other side was already wrapped around, and you'll see it will pull that blue rubber band so that you have a bigger opening there. Now, you're going to go to this hook, which you just hooked the white onto, and you're going to reach down and get the green rubber band, not the rubber band you just hooked, but the color that was going from here to here. So now it should look like this. You are then going to go into this hook and reach down and get the rubber band that is being stretched from here to here. So you can see on mine, it's blue. So I'm reaching down until I get the blue rubber band. I secure it with my thumb, pull it over, and hook it. And you're going to continue like this until you have gone back to the beginning. One at a time, reaching through, getting the rubber band from below and hooking it back to the other side. Underneath, get the rubber band from below and pulling it to the other hook. So you're creating a design that looks like this. I'm going to continue to show you from this angle. You're reaching down, getting the rubber band from below, and you're pulling it through to the other hook, to the hook that the other side of the same rubber band is on. Okay, you are going down, and you are going to hook the rubber band that's on the bottom, and you are going to pull it up and over to the other hook that same rubber band is on. And you're going to continue to do this until you reach the end. Down, over, hook it, down, over, hook it, and you will get used to this and you will be able to do this very quickly, as I said before. This is the reason why I said make sure that your rubber bands are pushed down, because if you don't, you could pop off more than the rubber band you want to pop off. You don't want to pop all of the rubber bands off that hook, just the one underneath. And it is tricky because you are going underneath rubber bands that are there to get the one on the bottom. And you're pulling that through the rubber band that is over top of it to make the loop. And by doing this, you are hooking all of your rubber bands together. You're linking them. And so when you take it off, all of your rubber bands will be linked except for the final one, and that's where your C-clips come in, which I will show you as soon as I'm finished hooking these last few rubber bands. So here we go. Last few rubber bands, almost done. Almost at the very end. Again, pulling it down, going down with my hook, getting the bottom rubber band, pulling it up and over, down with my hook, pulling it up and over, looping it on to the other hook. Looping all those rubber bands together by following this pattern. Okay, I have gotten to my very last one. As you can see here, this is where I started. When you get to the very end, you'll be back at that red arrow. Now, this is very important. You may not take this all off without doing this step, because if you do, you will lose all the work you just did. You must take your hook and push it through that first rubber band, and you must peel it off with the first rubber band looped around your hook. And once you have that, then you can just go back and forth, and pull up towards you, and it will snap right off. Okay. At this point, you no longer need the loom. You can put that aside. You won't need your rubber bands either. All you will need is a C-clip, and I know sometimes people have S-clips. This is the C-clip, called a C-clip because it looks like a C. So we're going to put that right here, and just hold on to that for a moment. Right now, you have a bracelet that looks like this, and remember, you have your hook holding that last rubber band. The C-clip is what is going to link the two ends together. So if you give your rubber band a little tug to make this a little bit longer, like so, and you take your C-clip, like so, you can insert the C-clip and then take it off of the hook, because now the C-clip is what is holding that together. Okay, you can see the C-clip has linked those two last, it's one rubber band folded in half. And now you can take that same C-clip and you can use that to hook the last rubber band, like so. And now you've got your bracelet ready to be worn and shown off.